All righty. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Village of Homewood for February 27th, 2025. This evening's agenda, we have one case to hear, but we're going to start at the top of the agenda with call of order, which I just did, and now we'll call for roll call.
Member Alfonso?
Here.
Member Cap? Here. The order changed.
Yeah.
Member Bransky?
Here.
Member O'Brien?
Here.
Member Johnson? Member Castaneda?
Here.
Chair Shuzago. All right, we have a quorum.
And
Member Bransky will be serving as our chair for town hall this evening.
okay, so first task we have is to approve minutes from the meeting from January 23rd, 2025. Does anybody have any comments, concerns, questions?
I've got two grammatical ones. One is on page 6 at the top. The last word of Miss Rowland's answer should be, I think, now. Instead of
Yes,
not.
you're right.
And on page 7, in the middle. No, I take that back. At the bottom. The second answer from the bottom ends in hire. It should be HIRE. As in
Yeah.
hiring people.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, if anybody would like to propose a motion to approve the minutes,
So moved.
I'll second it.
motion by member O'Brien, second by member Cap. Can I get a roll call, please?
Member Alfonso?
Yes.
Member Cap?
Yes.
Member O'Brien?
Yes.
Member Castaneda?
Yes.
Member Bransky?
Yes. Next item on our agenda is we open the floor to public comments. And we have anybody that just to add something into the record as a public comment? Going once. Going twice. All right, we'll close that item with no comments proposed. Which brings us to our regular business and so our first case is public hearing for case 25-05. Special use permit for indoor commercial place of assembly at 18111 Dixie Highway. Pertinent information. So the applicant is, and correct me if I mispronounce your name, Mr. Irby Solis.
Sure.
All right. Looking for a special use permit at said address. Legal notice was published in the Daily Southtown on February 13th, 2025. Letters were sent to property owners and residents within 250 feet. Staff, was there any response to any of the letters or any calls or correspondence regarding the pad?
We did not.
Notice, I should say.
We did not receive any comments about the notice.
Okay. And just quick background, not to steal your thunder, the applicant, Irby Solis, owner of Epic Nutrition at 18111 Dixie Highway, wishes to operate fitness classes after hours at the existing carryout eating place. It's a smoothie and juice bar. This use is classified as an indoor commercial place of assembly in the zoning ordinance, which is a special use in the B2 downtown transition zoning district. Carryout restaurant is a permitted use at the location. Special use permit will allow the applicant to host weekly fitness classes. So the way we conduct our meetings is we'll have our witness step up to the podium. As the testimony here is given under oath, we will have you state your name and address for the record, and we'll swear you in. And then we'll let you present what you want to do. Come on up. Or should I say, come on down.
Yeah.
Raise the break.
So name and address for the record, please.
Yep. Hello, okay, my name is Herbie Solis, owner at Epic Nutrition, 18111 Dixie Highway, Homewood, Illinois.
Thank you. And you raise your right hand and you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Why don't you go ahead and tell us in your own words what it is you would like to do?
So, what we do at our place of business, you know, we promote a healthy, active lifestyle. So, we promote supplements, nutrition. We do weigh-ins, we weigh people in, we put them on the scale, we do the BMI. We keep track of, everybody's water levels, metabolism, body fat, bone mass, and then we recommend what supplements they need. So we have a regular clientele base that comes in daily. So as a perk to the customers that come in every day, we wanted to offer a workout class, a dance class with something simple, just some stepping, some dancing, you know, for 1 hour from 6 to 7 or 6:30 to 7:30, something, just 1 hour. And, you know, just as a perk to the customers, you know, once a week would be great, if allowed.
Okay.
And that's, you know, pretty much it. It's pretty simple.
All right, well, let me open it up to the board to ask questions.
I'll start.
Want to start?
Sure, I'd love to start, because I love a step class. Are you doing a step class or a dance class or what exactly would it be?
I wouldn't be doing it because I'm not that coordinated.
Right.
I got 2 left feet, according to my wife. So I would have an instructor, you know, a licensed instructor that would teach the class.
So you're currently doing it in Chicago Heights?
Yes, well, she's right now, she's located in Chicago Heights, doing it at the Park District over there.
And she's certified?
She's certified,
That's who you'd be bringing here.
yes.
And the classes would be in your location
Yes.
after your normal hours of business.
Yes, so our hours of business are 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it'd be right after that.
Okay, so, and it would be open just to your clientele, so you know, you've got an idea of how many people you come.
No more than 20. Well, no more than 20. We have a space of 1,495 square feet. We have a open space, and so it's just enough for 20 people comfortably.
Great. You have a sound system?
I do. I have a subwoofer. It's a Bluetooth subwoofer that links in on your phone or tablet and you can play music.
And then, have you tested that to see that it wouldn't interfere with, do you have neighbors?
Yes, the Rock Shop and Edward Jones Investments. Edward Jones is closed, and the Rock Shop, well, they rock.
They'd be rocking. I like that, okay. And as far as the parking is concerned, it seems like it's covered.
Yeah, the parking, everybody does public parking, you know, first come, first serve, wherever they can find parking, you know, we've been there for years, but never really had an issue.
But the parking requirement is based on square footage of this location. That's already covered. Right. So no matter how many people came to the class.
Yeah, because, you know, the class might have like 10 people, or it might have 20, you know,
Right,
just give or take.
depends upon, how dedicated they are. that
Yeah,
day.
and then, you know, and then we know exactly how many people are coming, because it's prepaid.
Oh, okay,
You gotta pay in advance if you have the class.
and, it's after 6 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like you'd be at least giving your clientele a little more time to move. It's good.
Yeah, we, you know, during the summer, we try to, especially during the summer, we try to get them to move around more often, you know? a lot of people have office jobs and, they get off work, by the time they get off work, we tell them to walk around the neighborhood.
Well,
We
there's
have
a
rights.
there's a spot down the block from you that has,
Spin.
cycling, spinning, so yeah.
Yeah, my wife's there every week.
Oh, really? Great. Okay, well, thank you.
Okay.
So, I don't really have questions of you. Everything seems self-explanatory, but, I do have some comments on it. It seems like, you fit into neatly some categories for what you're proposing here, and on paper, you satisfy the parking requirements, but, I'm just making the point that, by the size of your space, 4 parking spaces is adequate for your, let's call it a fast food restaurant or whatever, based on the size. But when you're doing this kind of activity and you're anticipating up to 20 people, 20 minus 4 is 16. So where are 16 people going to park? And, that's a question. You don't necessarily have to answer it. I'm curious what you might offer. And then secondly, I understand this is in the evening. So one might say that parking demands are a little bit lesser at that hour, but at the same time, anybody who tries to pick something up at Eat Rice or maybe find a parking spot to go to the 5th quarter at that hour, and then there's always the spillover from Martin Avenue with Stony Point. It's very hard to find parking. So where are you? You mentioned that it'll be public parking, but where do you see that this public parking will be coming from?
So I recommend the customers to, park on Gottschalk by the park.
Okay,
And then they could walk on up, it's only
Makes
like,
sense.
like an eighth of a block. Like, I would tell them to park on the public parking, Or I could also recommend to them to, those that are coming in, some of them are friends or family, they can carpool together also, that'd be something that would simplify, cause what I would say is, you wanna continue this class, you gotta carpool. That's one suggestion to them. Or park on Gottschalk, because Gottschalk be wide open at night, the whole side street.
not disagreeing.
And that's, I usually walk my dog that way.
Sure.
See, this is wide open.
Sure, makes sense. I just, that's my concern. No other questions or comments?
Member Brand?
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Just a couple of questions. You included a drawing of the restaurant, but no dimensions. What's the size of the front of the restaurant that you're gonna be using for this?
I just know the square footage is 1,495 square feet.
Oh, I understand, but where you're going to have the classes is less than that.
Yes.
So what is the amount of space, length and width that you're going to occupy for this?
I don't know the exact number, the exact measurements, but we have measured it out and with, we spaced it out with the customers. And, the front's about 800 square feet, 700 to 800 square feet, the front space that we would utilize. And it's wide open, space.
Well, you have chairs and you have other things on the side and you have, ticket counter or something there in the back.
Everything moves.
Would you estimate 18 by 25 feet for the actual open space?
It's almost as wide as this space right here. It's almost as wide as this. Maybe like from here to the table to that desk, about that wide.
Okay, and how,
I would say from like the back window to about that wall, the emergency defibrillator.
okay. Thank you.
And I'll move out, anything that's, everything's very movable, just a table, move, simple.
Okay, I have another question on page, for the staff. Pages 14 and 15. Special use standards. There are 12 questions in the special use standards, but in the staff section, there's only 11. In the applicant section, there is 12, and he did answer the 12th question. Also, on the staff side, questions 3, 6, 8, and 9 were not answered. I just wondered if there was a reason for that. There was no response.
The 12th question, would be one that's on the historical cultural resources. That wasn't included, but that should have been listed in the staff memo. And then, as for the responses from staff, last year we were responding to every single question with a staff response. We have reduced that now to just respond to specific questions that staff feel like needs a staff response, say due to facts in the case or additional information needing to be provided. Staff focuses on those questions.
Okay. I have no other questions at this point.
Member Castaneda.
Well, my questions have been answered. I actually have one question on a possible typo. Page 15, the findings of facts, number 2. I take it you meant Evergreen Park. Not Evergreen Illinois. Subject property is owned by Mark Kinsella of Evergreen, Illinois. Take it that was Evergreen Park.
Oh, yeah, Evergreen Park.
Okay.
Which number is that?
Number 2.
Oh, yes. There's a word missing. Thank you.
No, that's it. That's all I have. Everything seems to be in order.
My only question really, in our materials here says that the classes will occur once a week for an hour. 6:30 to 7:30 on Monday or Wednesday nights. So if your clientele is kind of getting into it and they would request, hey, why don't we do this like twice a week? Is that something you would anticipate wanting to do? Or why just once a week?
It is Evergreen, Illinois.
Just because I got
Oh,
a
really?
full schedule already. And we get really busy at this time. We start getting really busy at this time with the shop. And then I do, I'm also coach softball here at Homewood. My time goes to my daughter, her team, and all the kids.
Okay,
So I ain't got time to be at the shop after 6, watching everybody, 'cause I don't leave there. If anybody's there, I don't leave till everybody walks out the building.
so if there was a demand to say, make this, 2 nights a week, you're not inclined to want to expand it.
I'm already kind of working with Chicago Heights Park District to have them, you want to do more than one class, you can do them over there.
Okay.
So that way, I'm kind of happy with the schedule I have already.
Okay,
I already have enough on my plate.
very good. No, I don't have any other questions, or concerns, so, I agree. Go ahead.
Square footage is 1,459 square feet for staff. 1,459 square feet. And a carryout restaurant is 200
Okay.
per square feet for one stall, right?
Right.
So that would be 7 stalls, 7 spaces. And there's 4. I'm just trying to get an understanding of the relationship and the reference to the zone code. Section 4405-01. A4.
Yep, so that's buildings erected prior to 2023. So when you have a building and a use that's been in place prior to that point, we have certain, we have a policy in place where buildings aren't required to add additional spaces unless certain thresholds are cleared, such as the number of spaces required increases by a certain percentage. Or I believe there's two other letters in there, but the point that that's referencing is because the building was erected prior to 2023. There's no substantial change in the parking requirement. That parking count requirement remains the same as it was originally approved with.
I guess I'm missing something. 200 in the 1459 is 7 parking places and only 4 are available, correct? That is 50% more than 4.
But it's a pre-existing building, so they don't have to make that up. It's a existing non-conformity. Because the use itself the building was constructed prior to 2023. And the new use is less restrictive, is requiring fewer parking spaces, so they don't need to add any.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I was just gonna note that I also share Member Cap's concern about parking. However, seeing as it's 1 hour, one night a week, I don't think that's a big hit into the already unsolvable quagmire of parking in downtown Homewood. So it is a concern, but I don't think it's a pretty big concern. It's pretty nominal, in my opinion. So with that, if there's no other questions or.
I have a comment.
Okay.
At our last meeting, we considered space here on Dixie, not too far from that way. Where we're sitting, lady wanted to have an event space, and the issue or the question that came up then was capacity, number of people who could safely occupy that space. And I think I know we made reference to whatever fire code and the international building code and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just saying this for the record, let's call it the capacity of a building, depending on uses like this, would be about 50 square feet per person, maybe 75. And so my point is, when you divide that number into the space, you could accommodate more people, I suppose, but it's good that you're limiting it to 20. I still have, however, a real concern about adding to this, what you described, Seth, as the quagmire or something. But just to make it clear that it's probably prudent that you're limiting your occupancy.
Okay, so
I have a question for staff related to that. Is there a study that was done recently or done some time ago that identifies the on-street parking spaces on each street? You have that. Is it possible that we could get a copy of that?
Yeah, I can send that to that.
So we know what we're dealing with regards to a particular area or neighborhood or street, because it seems like the cases that we've had in the last year for off-street parking, if there's 1,500 spaces, and I understand changes in the timelines of different businesses, but if there's 1,500 parking spaces and we're calculating 2,500 for off-street parking in various businesses at different times, we should know that.
Yeah.
One place may be more dense than another. When the brewery, for example, and I saw this, has a mandated valet parking. Some people will not park there. And they will go down the street further north on Dixie, which is exactly in front of this applicant and others. And so those on-street parking places will not exist. Just a point.
Any other questions or comments at this time?
Nope.
All right. So we'll entertain a motion for approval.
Okay, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve case number 2505 for a special use permit to operate an indoor commercial place of assembly use at 18111 Dixie Highway, subject to the following conditions. Number one, the proposed use shall not operate within the hours of operation of the existing carryout restaurant use. Number two, the total capacity of the use shall not exceed 20 people, and incorporating the findings of facts into the record.
Can I get a second? So motion and second have been proposed. Can I get a roll call?
Member Alfonso,
Yes.
member Cap,
No.
member O'Brien,
No.
member Castaneda,
Yes.
member Bransky.
Yes.
All right, needs 4 votes to pass. It does not pass.
Do you have any next steps or options?
If you choose to go to the village board. For their vote, but this is not a recommendation for the mission failed. Okay. But we can talk about whether you want to move it forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for bringing them. All right, so on our agenda, we have case number 25-06, special use permit for salon spa at 1953 and 1955 Ridge Road, which has been let me get back to the first page here. Has been withdrawn, so that's a permanent withdrawal, not a continuation, not a,
It was
I'll do it later.
withdrawn, there was an
Withdrawn.
existing.
Okay.
Salon in this case prior within the allotted amount of time, so no special use was required.
Okay,
Lucky them,
Huh?
lucky them.
Yes, very lucky.
that concludes the regular business portion of our agenda. Next item is old business. Anybody have anything about any old business to dredge up?
I have one item. The village board denied unanimously the special use application for the event space at 180-35 Dixie, the living room. The vote at here had been 3-3. It was 6-0. Oh, you weren't there?
Okay.
Just to let you all know.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is new business.
I have a brief item of new business. So we get a number of cases like this, or at least business owners considering it, where you have kind of an event that's accessory to the main use. It's something that a lot of businesses do, especially more experiential retail in the downtown, to try to draw in additional traffic for the business. Right now, a lot of times they have to go through this process where there's a special use permit. It's a long and somewhat costly process, especially if it's a temporary event or something that's very short. And so we're exploring options to look at if there's other ways that we can permit these types of events. So think of it more almost like an accessory event permit, if you will. So a way for someone to have very limited, restricted ways to have events that are accessory to an existing use. And again, it's just because we want to find a way to encourage people to have events, to make it easy to have them while also still managing the impact of parking, of impacts on neighboring businesses, things like that. But also considering that sometimes it doesn't constitute a full change of use category that might require an elevation to the planning and zoning commission. So we're trying to find that balance, and so we're looking at other communities. We're researching what they're doing, and we'll be working on some recommendations as staff.
I wanna say that, so it would be like this instance where it's not the main use, it's an accessory, basically. The special use would have been for something that was accessory to the permanent use, and a lot of the businesses, especially retailers, they do have these experiential components to their business.
Yeah, like the comic book place might want to have game night
Yeah,
after hours. Dungeons and Dragons
That's a
Club.
great idea.
They already have them.
So,
They are to do this.
I have a question. Wouldn't it be good for us to have an in-service discussion, full discussion of this item? Because I get a sense that our decisions, particularly most recently, are limiting and not in keeping with the openness and the access that the village or staff would prefer. Because there's been 2 or 3 recently that because of parking, principal reason parking and availability, that those applications were not approved. So, I mean, for you to develop something, I think that the commission should participate in the discussion so that we're all in sync, we're working together. I get the impression we're not working together. That's the impression I get.
No, I'm sorry that you have that impression, but what Noah was referring to would be an actual change to the zoning code if we found something. And we would not be, Noah would not be doing this on his own, it would be something that would have to come before the planning and zoning commission to change the code.
Right.
So it would be something that maybe would be an added accessory use. Because it is for cases like this, which is very different than, event spaces where that's 100% principal use of their yard. So yes, you would definitely be part of that discussion.
Right,
It would need to change the code.
yeah, if staff would prevent recommendations that we would be bringing forward for consideration by you and then ultimately the building board.
he was just saying, he was looking at some background information and investigating what other communities do, how they handle it. So I could bring
Well, I'm familiar with that.
something
It would be
reasonable
fine.
for us to discuss.
It would be part of it.
Any other items?
I have one. I'm usually the last person to become aware of things like this, but last weekend I was at a gathering of some friends and they pointed out that they had heard that Tom Kateris died.
Yes.
He was a former trustee, of course, and Lord knows, Tom's kitchen was a fixture here for the longest time, but I bring this up mostly because for also a long time, he was the liaison to the plan commission when he was on the board, so evidently, according to the obituary, there'll be a memorial service in June for him, Ryan Toombs.
Thanks for bringing it up. I wasn't aware.
Sorry to hear that.
And just to talk about it again, last meeting with that event space and going back when she first appeared back in November, Chairman Fred, in response to something that I brought up about that vacant, essentially a vacant parking lot north of where Tom's kitchen was, it's now the dental store, but anyway, that was an available parking lot. Evidently Fred had some conversations with Tom to ask, so Tom was a good guy.
All right, there's no other items of new business. The next item is to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a motion, please?
So
Any seconds?
I'll second it.
All right, meeting is officially adjourned.
Thank you.
You.
We have no items on the next scheduled meeting, so.
Okay.